Hello there, friends, family, classmates, Dr. Russell. Before I get too far into this, let me just explain really quick. This is not one of my usual live Facebook feeds. For one thing, it is going to be edited, and I have an agenda and a time limit, so you guys can thank Dr. Russell for that. The other thing is, this was not my original plan for this assignment. So originally I was going to do this very high energy video targeting middle school students and talking about Jeremiah and engaging communication style and context, and I had the voiceover recorded, I had mics set up and costumes done. In fact, I was going to introduce you to Jake, the new guy, and I'll just go ahead and throw his picture up there because I went through the trouble of painting a goatee on myself. But I sat down to record it and had a little bit of an existential crisis. See, I had considered context of everybody, Jeremiah's context, the context in Jerusalem, the context for the Babylonians, and even the Egyptians as Jeremiah fled later on in the story. And I realized in that moment that I had missed one of the most important contexts of the whole assignment. Mine. I had just recently had an opportunity to work with youth in a church, set on the table, and then almost as quickly taken off the table, just because of who I am and who my people are. So, all of a sudden, targeting a video to youth and middle schoolers in particular felt very disingenuous. I had to ask myself the tough questions, specifically, what is my context? So is this my context? Pulpits to be preached from, pews to be filled, pianos to be practiced, services to be planned, committee meetings to have. Oh my gracious, the committee meetings. Church doctrines, ordinations. It's all out there, and it's all comfortable space to me. It's someplace that I could actually fit quite well, if that's where I'm called to go. But is it where I'm called to go? So as I revisited the text and just thought through this whole concept of my context, as well as Jeremiah's context, as well as the context in Jerusalem and the Babylonians in Egypt, and etc., I noticed a few things. One, Jeremiah went through some pretty severe context crisis himself, starting with his calling. And he was not keen on this. Like Moses, he objected because he was young. He said, this isn't my job. I'm not ready to do this type of thing. But God touched him, and he put words in his mouth. And it just made me realize how many preachers every week wake up Sunday morning or Saturday night as they're coming to services to deliver a sermon or a homily or whatever their tradition calls for, and they say, I'm not ready. This isn't me. I can't do this. I shouldn't be doing this. And yet they stop and they breathe. And in a moment, even if metaphorically so, they let God touch their lips. And out of their mouths come truth, come life-saving words that are rooted in the Spirit, grounded in the text, no doubt, but so much more than any one of us as humans could offer up on our own. Maybe this is my context. A stage to stand on, to entertain, auditoriums to fill, to even educate and challenge, or inspire and motivate. I've certainly done all of these things. Things I'm very, very comfortable with and actually rather enjoy. But is it about me? Is my context simply about where I am most fulfilled, where I am most comfortable? It would be nice to have a full audience out there, though. I'd love to hear them laugh. So I kept working my way through the text and working my way through my questions. And I realized that, kind of like me, Jeremiah was not shy of the dramatic. And at one point, there's a story of him walking through the streets of Jerusalem with a yoke intended for an oxen around his neck. And he was just trying to make the point that the yoke of the Babylonians was coming, and that the people of Jerusalem just needed, and of Judah, needed to surrender to it. Not something that independent, loving, self-ruling people want to hear, but was the reality that Jeremiah was called to deliver, and he held nothing back in his effort to do that. So is this my context? On the road, traveling to new places, talking to new people, being in new churches, challenging people to think about new ways of relating to the world around them and to the people they run into. A lot of times people don't want to hear those messages, and it can get a little dicey sometimes even, but is that what God's calling me to? Is that the journey that I am supposed to be on? Is that the context that I'm called to serve and walk in? So, toward the end of Jeremiah's life, everything that he's talked about with the Babylonians has come to pass. They've taken over, they've carted off all of the ruling class and the educated people back to Babylon. All that is left is a remnant of the army that was hiding out in the hills. And after much discussion, even they are leaving Jerusalem and Judah and hiding out in Egypt for a while. And Jeremiah goes with them to keep bringing the word of the Lord to their presence. And they eventually say to him point blank, Jeremiah, the things that you have said that God is telling us, we're not going to listen. After everything that he goes through, after everything that he is prophesied about is coming to pass, Jeremiah's ultimate context was one of dismissal and rejection. So what has Jeremiah taught me about context this week? It's this. Context isn't something to be contrived and planned and manipulated. Context is something to be observed and understood. So observing me in my present moment and living into it, it's this. It's this workstation to record thoughts and sounds and share them with you all online. It's this desk to study the text and read the books and write the papers. It's those classrooms down the street that I get to sit in with my wonderful classmates and discuss and debate and encourage and challenge each other. So, in light of that being my context, I'm going to leave you guys with a song that, as I was thinking about Jeremiah's, back to the beginning of the story, God giving him the words in his mouth. And it's a song I wrote a couple years ago. I'm just going to play the first verse and the chorus for you. And the verse is this. Words unspoken, words unsaid, live lonely lives inside my head. The time is now to set them free. Won't you come and stand with me? Welcome to my context. Words unspoken, words unsaid, live lonely lives inside my head. The time is now to set them free.